humans across the planet. My name is Elijah Jetson. That might be relevant. The information here is imparted and shared from a space of presence, a space of clarity. About a decade and a half ago, I started a company in high school called R3alyfestyle. The intention of this company was to support, help, align creatives and individuals that felt a block in their self-expression. And by doing so, what we were getting the opportunity to do was create a global movement around creatives, around art, around self-expression, around creating a space for the misfits. And by doing that, there's a lot of lessons I learned, a lot of processing and developing that I had access to. There's a lot of bumping my head against the wall, right? Bumping my head against the wall. And what that led to, from a realization standpoint, was society, as we know and as I knew prior, but not in this more robust format, society, what we're taught in school, let me say the institution, I'm not going to say society, the institutionalized education system, information system, database, is not necessarily designed to teach us about life. It's designed to teach us about someone else's desired outcomes. And while I was working with people, educating people, and most of the time people were a large amount of years senior, even my life today, everyone's about 15 years older than me, a lot of capacities. And within that, you really get to understand a really good look at how we do things, right? And the reason this is extremely important to this conversation is the fact that I love this. The true thing there, right, is that when you look at this, you get to see people's programming. This is what I'm getting to. So Real Monster came from the fact that I became conscious of people's programming, and I was like, how do we break this system? I created the company name while I was sitting in trigonometry class. Sitting in trig, I was thinking of a name. The company, there's a whole other story of how the concept of me starting a company came from, but I don't think that's necessarily relevant. It is contextually by influence, right? So the whole purpose of this has transformed to where we are today of influence and how we can be. This is a perfect example too, because there's like 14, probably 30 people out here surfing, a lot more actually. I don't know if you can see all of them. All those little black dots are humans surfing. But in context, right? Class, trigonometry, R3alyfestyle. So Real came from the concept. I was playing with it. I was like authentic. I was thinking of like, it at first it was NYC creatives, NYC creatures, because it was just like, New York, the uniqueness. But then I got to R3alyfestyle. And what R3alyfestyle was for me was, Real is the authentic expression of someone, and monster is the world's perspective, because they're not you, obviously, is the world's perspective of you being your truth. And I started developing an understanding around this, an insight, perspective around this, and it came from me paying attention to movies, because we love people's vulnerabilities in certain contexts. We love when artists are naked, vulnerable, honest, and all these things in certain contexts. People don't like the truth. They don't like when a kid tells someone they're fat. They don't like when a kid tells someone they're ugly, right? They don't like that sharp, that sharp dose of reality, but they do like it in the containers that they decide, right? And oftentimes the most prevalent one is movies. And a lot of movies, the person I used in specific was Stephen King, right? Because he makes these horror style movies, and like the fact that that is coming from someone's head, right? We don't think about this, but the fact that that came from someone's head as an expression, right, as a thought process, right? Could you think or allow there to be space in your process to realize that's probably in a lot of other people's heads? Hence why movies go viral and movies are this. These concepts are inside of our consciousness, right? It's just how we articulate and express them. And then the world's going to judge us, respond to us based on that authentic expression, right? But now when you create an environment for people to heal, because that's what I've learned to be then, but before it was create and coaching, and I've always loved helping people and being of service, so it had a different, I guess, there's a different association to it when I did it at that time. But it's always coaching, always helping people. That's what I've always done. That's what I do today. Coach, I develop, I support, and I develop CEOs and leaders and things of that nature. But when you look at this, right, you start developing an understanding. Right? The reason this part's important is because you have to know where you're going. You have to know where you come from, right? And then it compounds, right? So when we zoom back, this was the beginning. This is the inception point of how we get here. Is creating space for individuals, specifically creatives, because I like music, I like art, I like fashion, I like all these things. It was my medium to market, build brand, build a network, build community, and have a great experience throughout high school and 2 years after high school, right? Be able to travel, be able to meet amazing people, be able to make money doing what I love, being able to build great relationships, eat, all the beautiful things, right? But when we look at this dichotomy or this awareness of this, I think it becomes a dichotomy, right? Because real becomes monster. Being yourself becomes a place of contention with the world, right? You can't authentically speak your truth. I know a lot of people can find this awareness in their process when they think of their family, when they think of so many things. When they say the thing that actually matters to them, there's something comes up, right? There's a discomfort that comes up. And that's where this all starts from. It starts from being honest with yourself and being able to express yourself in your authenticity, because that is what we're all here, right? To be the most authentic version of ourselves, such that our relationship with the Most High is expressed through us presently in that moment. I think that is the greatest definition I've found of presence, of God, of consciousness, of spiritual transformation, of all of these things. Is what I believe to be true since I was a child. We're all here with a unique purpose, a unique gift, and we're all looking for a pathway to express that. Fundamental foundation of why we're here, right? So that's the first principle, and that's one of our principles. My first principle is first principles. So this is why it's important to clarify the first principle, because genuine intention is always this. And then, as I transitioned from that, life happened. Real turned into lifestyle coaching, because I realized the schism, what I really wanted to do was coach in the first place. And then there was a lot of business transition stuff, because I wasn't really running a business in a business sense, because there's a lot of nuances that I teach and speak about today, like the 24 value drivers. There's a lot of there's a lot of moving parts to an actually thriving business. There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of things happening when you're thinking of a business. You're actually building a business, when you're crafting and creating an actual establishment. And what this means is, or what I became aware of, was that wasn't what I was actually doing, nor did I want to build that around what I was doing. So I transitioned it into a coaching company, because what I was really aiming to do was build other leaders that can self-sustain the creations, right? I love traveling, I love going to events, I love building community, but I also love working with the co-creator of that, just making sure they have the systems and processes to do that continuously and at scale. And that's where things started transitioning more into the coaching capacity, But when I got to the coaching capacity, I realized, one, that coaching was a business, and I didn't have to go to school to be a psychologist. I could just coach. Two, I learned digital entrepreneurship and realized how the utilization of the internet was the foundation, right? I realized that when you understand human psychology, but then you also understand how the computer, the internet, can utilize human psychology to get to set outcomes, desired conversations, you get, poof, the magic that we call the world today, right? And propaganda, whatever, we can go down the whole gamut around that, but we'll get to that in a second, right? So now we're at phase 2. This is also the articulation that's going to come further down the line around this. So phase 2 was, or the second part was now synthesizing my decade of awarenesses around humans, consciousness, and how do I articulate that to other individuals in a way that they can receive it. This is where I designed, and I first did the R3alyfestyle Blueprint, which was a 6-week program where I literally just questioned everything about life. Mindset, definitions, what is health, what is wealth, how does business actually operate at a different level, right? What is, keep going with just what is health, relationships, spirituality, or lifestyle design, right? I went down this whole gambit. Each piece, boom, 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 and flushed this all out. Got this all out of my system. I was like, whoo, there we go. Now, mind you, this is still before 25. This is all before 25. And this is like deep research, deep understandings, deep introspection, like deep insights. By the time I was 20, I understood biochemistry at like a really human level, relationships at a really deep level, human psychology at a really deep level, spirituality at a really deep level. A lot of these things are very integral, intrinsic areas of understanding. But then there's a transition point at you start realizing no one else understands what's going on. Like I realized this early when I was younger, but then it really leans in when you're getting into like reality. It's one thing to like look around you, right? Say, okay, this right here sold for I think it was like $3 million. Just a trailer. This trailer, the beach, sold for it's like 3.5, right? And this one sold like $1 million something, right? So there's a few of these sold, and before this, it was one of these little small ones over here. It wasn't a big one, right? It was a small one. But this is a consciousness from that I got to see growing up. The reason I'm using this as an example is what happens around you influences you. So it's one thing to have an insight based on what's in your environment. It's another thing to become intrinsically conscious of what's actually going on, right? And becoming conscious that nobody else knows what's going on. And this is what began to happen after I launched the program. I realized most of the world had zero life training. Most of the world does not read 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, didn't actually integrate the four agreements. They read it, they intellectualized it, but something I learned in school was there's a big difference between reading and comprehension. I learned this in like 2nd grade. One of my teachers told me this out here in Montauk. She said, there's a difference between reading and comprehension. And that blew my mind. I'm even saying it today because I understood exactly what she meant. Like I knew exactly what she meant when she said it. And I was like, oh my goodness. And this is the biggest difference in why we're here having this conversation. So as this transition happened, I created all this, I realized it, and I was like, wait, there's a different way. Because again, I understood the internet, so I realized there's money to be made online, right? And again, I didn't allow myself, I chose not to embrace my success. As you see, I took pivots. So I could have doubled down on success and opportunities and made very large amounts of income, but something for me was always important. That everything happened on the same accord. I wanted to have my spiritual awareness with my financial or physical acquisition, And that's what is my present reality now, what's going to happen next. But none of that's relevant. The process is important, because if you're going to work with us, if you're going to say yes, it's understanding the process, because I'm articulating a process and a system and a mechanism that has very intentional aspects to it. If you don't understand these frameworks, you won't get the best out of it. You won't be able to implement it at its highest perspective, and you will get lost and confused, and I am not to blame for that. Oh my goodness, she's still alive. That is amazing. This lady, Miss Josephine, you can't see her. You might be able to see her, actually. She's that small dot next to my finger.
How do you
small trailer right there. Beautiful, beautiful woman. But, so when we looked at this, right, we zoomed out, and we got very clear, right, very, very clear on a few fundamental pieces. Went very deep down these gambits, created a 6-week program where I was literally every single day I was going down a tangent. So I did like 6, a lot of hours of studying, but 6 like 30-minute to 45-minute presentations around this stuff. That was the blueprint. But within that insight, what became prevalent for me was not everyone had these levels of consciousness. And you really start playing with the world differently when you really realize no one knows what you're talking about. No one knows what you're talking about. No one has this deeper sense of awareness. No one's seeking that deeper sense of awareness, or they're not aware of what that means. You just become very aware of a lot of these things. And this is where the pivot begins again. So what happened in my life when I had this pivot is I looked around, I was in a beautiful relationship, I stopped that relationship and was like, okay, I'm not living in the matrix anymore. It's either I do something else or I don't know. And I look around, because again, there's subconscious pieces of this, of like family, childhood, again, social and intimate relationships. So I looked around again and I was like, wait, everyone's asleep, no one's actually working with each other, no one's contributing, and then these are like little things you learn in the business, but it's like subconscious, and it becomes conscious as you become more conscious of the process and the systems and the deeper levels of awareness, right? It's like you grow, right? Every time you become conscious of something, you review the books with a new level of insight, right? So this is my life unfolding. And at this pivot, I was like, I need to go see the world. So I acquired a Prius and I drove around the country. Drove to about 40 states. That was a gift. That was a gift, because I drove around these 40 states by myself, and nothing happened but open arms. Nothing happened but receptivity. Nothing happened but appreciation, beautiful aspects of nature, just seeing the world and its brevity, right? So all the things were just being affirmed for me that, like, the world is your playground. And the reason I say this is because the transitions I'm going to articulate later will all make sense of how they come together and why they come together and the intention of what we're aiming to do now. So all of this equals the overarching vision, right? All of this equals what led to, what transpired, what allows me to be where I am today. And my ethos and my presence and in my reality. So what then happens next, or happened next, was a gift. I return back, I start traveling again, because like, I'm just going to scale a really large business, kind of understand the internet, have access to the right people. So I went to 3 or 4 conferences, go to Vegas, have an amazing conference. I meet Brandon Carter and Derek Moneyberg face to face, like I'm walking in and they're walking like at the same time. So I get to like, have a conversation with them, invest in some stuff with them, and I'm like, oh wow, like this is everything you could ask for, right? But then reality hit again. Remember, I told you I learned a lot intentionally. I learned a lot intentionally, and COVID happened. For the last 7 years, 8 years, 9 years, I've been learning. And COVID happened, it was time to put that learning into action, right? And this was the whole purpose of it, because when the time came, I was prepared. I had all my alkaline herbs, I had all my menus, I had my freedom, I had revenue streams. I was driving around New York, handling my stuff. I had my son with me on Thursdays. I was coming out here specifically to take care of my grandfather, my family, cooking for them every Thursday. Literally every single Thursday. I fell in love again, had a beautiful, beautiful relationship during 2020. And everything was just beautiful. Beautiful again. But in a different way, because the insight that came from that was nobody knows what the hell is going on again. I'm like, I made a lot more money doing a lot less, and most people made a lot more money now in 2020. But what did they do with it? What was their intention? What was their goals? How did they learn? What was happening? Did they know what was happening? Were they aware of the systems? Did they understand the economic structures? Did they understand their health? A lot of people did not know what the hell was going on. More than I was comfortable being aware of. So what then happened was I took myself into financial literacy. I was getting ready to get a life insurance policy for myself from a business standpoint. And I went through Patrick David's company, PHP, to get the quote. And the lady ends up calling me as I'm trying to get it. Because I was looking to get like the actual policy before I researched about all this stuff. But I was intending to get like a policy, dump a bunch of cash in it, and then just have that be my safe house. And what ends up happening is Mrs. Del Valle calls me out of Florida, and she presents the opportunity to me. And I was like, nah, I just want the insurance. So I wait a year. This is like right when COVID started. I had that conversation. So I wait that year, and I come back full circle. Because this is 2020. 2020, I wasn't thinking about this. This is the end of 2020. I come back full circle. End of 2020. So 2021 is when this conversation began. I spent the last 3 years now studying the financial space at a very deep level. Very, very deep level. Because no one understood. I understood the world.
Ow!
People were trapped by
Hit me right in the
finances. And I was like, let me go understand this game at the highest level, not the lowest level. When you start understanding finances, when you get into the world, especially of insurance, and high premium insurance, and the higher policies, because when you're doing this world, like insurance runs this BOLI, bank-owned life insurance, COLI, corporate-owned life insurance, because insurance is actually the backbone of many of these industries, right? You think of car insurance, you think of even Warren Buffett's portfolio. I think many of his companies, I'm not going to say many of them, but he owns insurance companies, I'll say it that way. Insurance companies hold a lot of equity and a lot of cash in secured ways, right? And then you're paying in cash for your security, right? It's a whole other conversation of linguistics around the words and what's what. Though, you see how this transition turns into a different understanding, right? I was enjoying money, I was enjoying my life, and I was like, oh wait, there's responsibility here. I need to articulate, share, and educate others around what I'm learning. Then another thing happens, I have the freedom to live my life. And I was like, oh wait, now I need to teach other people how to get freedom, right? And this is the transition. So I spent the last few years doing this. My mind, my vision has never changed. My approach and my articulation and what I've been doing has never changed. I've been coaching and mentoring leaders around the world for the last decade and a half in many different ways. Whether it was VCs, founders, whether it was young adults starting their companies or their careers looking for some guidance, whether it was spiritual leaders, whether it was helping people build companies, real estate developers, investors, whatever, right? Whether it's people I'm in a relationship with, right? This is my process. And within that, many beautiful things come to fruition, many beautiful opportunities. My life has always been the same. I've been co-creating a world of harmony through community for the last decade and a half. And we're at a precipice. We're at a point in time where transition's here. All of this comes to say, I'm energetically making a transition. I've been actively making a transition, but now there's a real intentional transition over the next 6 years to just focus on what I'm doing. Just focus on what I'm doing, which is creating oases like this around the world for the people I love and the people I work with. Right now, I'm in a 20-acre development with about 100, I would say 120, 130 units. Dunbar's number, early in the days, Ryan Leslie launched a company called Superphone. I was present to witness that process, and would be present and support people getting onboarded in that process and be at the launching events and things of that nature, build a unique relationship with him. And within context, there's something called Dunbar's number, which says a human can manage 150 relationships. One human can effectively manage 150 relationships. And I've always been someone who preferred quality over quantity. Always had great relationships, always had a lot of people in proximity, but I've always stayed in the less is more concept, and that's one of my principles today. Do less better. Didn't need a billion people, I needed the right people. That's why we're having this conversation today. We needed the right people. So within that, I want to articulate to you what real is, what is next, and what is now. The real life ecosystem where you are today is the final transformation of Jetson into physical forms, the alchemization of all these concepts for the last decade and a half of co-creating a world of harmony through community, of unlocking 1 billion closed minds, which we've already done just by nature of the people I've influenced in my life, and being the change we wish we want to see in the world, redefining lifestyle. The last piece of redefining lifestyle is the oases. But the oases are nothing without other leaders. The oases are nothing without people that have the grit, the tenacity, the focus, the drive, the mentality, the influence, the wealth, the mindset, the principles, values in the world with me. It's not a one-man army. It's not a one-man show. I believe in co-creating a world of harmony through community. I work with people. I joint venture. I always collaborate with others. I give them their equity share, a larger equity share, because I'm not doing it for the money. Money comes to me easily. Money comes to me fast. I get paid to exist.
Money comes at last.
Abundance of wealth around me. But I say this with you, with $0 in my bank account. We're starting from zero. Right? We're starting from zero. I always look at people like we're starting from zero. Don't presume I have anything more than you. We're starting the game the same. The only difference is the knowledge in my head. That's why the real lifestyle is designed, because the information is the only thing that makes a difference. Your assumption of me
Don't make assumptions.
is an assumption.
Don't take anything
That you
personally.
should remove.
Always
Because
do
we
your
are
best.
the same. You're
Be
only going to see
impeccable with your
yourself.
word.
So whatever you see in
Listen
me is
skeptically.
because that's what you see in yourself. No matter what's in my pocket, no matter what's in my bank account, no matter where I'm living, what I'm doing, how I'm walking, how I'm talking, I will always be judged. And that's why I walk the way I walk, talk the way I talk, and do what I do. Because I only fear Allah. Everybody else, I'm humble. It's nothing to do with me. So what does that mean for you? What does that mean for you? Right now, there's 3 levels, 3 ways of engaging with the real. Just one process.
All
The
good.
process is becoming the best
Real
version of
good,
yourself.
real good.
10 steps to alignment is the foundation of what we do. 10 steps to alignment is a process of self-awareness. It's the real monster process turned into the real lifestyle process, turned into the process we use today across multiple conversations, is co-creating a world of harmony through community. It's 10 steps to get to know yourself, to clarify your vision and your goals, and articulate them to the world. Step 1, self-audit. Step 2, 16 personalities. Step 3, Genius U test by Roger James Hamilton. Step 4 is the human design. Step 5 is a real lifestyle blueprint. Step 6 is CDC, clarity, discipline, and consistency. Right? Step 7 is either mastering the day or the 168. Actually, it's the one-page business plan, which then transitions into the 168, which transitions into mastering the day. And then we close with the mission, vision, principle statement. And this is, I believe, the natural process, or a great guideline process for us to be able to have our clarity with our mission, our vision, our principles, and articulate them to the world at large. Right? So, we're here to develop leaders. We're here to support leaders. So we have a real lifestyle ecosystem, which is an open container for anyone that is interested in this conversation. $50 a month, $50 entry fee, depending on what happens, right? $50, you get access to the conversations, the community, family dinner. You're in the ecosystem. Then you transition, and this is normally, I say 0 to 5K a month, and then from 5K to 10K a month, I call it the builders, which is someone who's actively or wants to build a community, wants to get their core 100, wants to develop a product, something in the world, right? Their interest is building something in the world. That is $150 a month. And what happens there is it's a more intentional conversation around building a community, right? Building a brand, building something, right? $50, you're part of the ecosystem, you know what's going on. $150, you're saying yes to the commitment to become a leader, to become better. You're more bought in. And the final one is the mastermind, the real leader development, which is the partnership, the joint venture partnership intentionally at $1,500 a month, which is more of the mastermind approach, more of the higher alignment to create your own development, your own process, right? Supporting you in building your true vision, your highest intention, right? And those are the levels, but what's really present is co-creating a world of harmony through community. People want community. And the reason I created these tiers is because I was spending a lot of money on substances when I was younger, and the average was $50. I was probably spending anywhere from $200 to $500 on average a day when it came to substances, specifically the leafy green, very specifically leafy green, and food, and then the people I was inviting around, right? And I was like, okay, $50 gets you access to the information I wish I had when I began this, right? If I had the information, right, this is my advice to myself, if I had access to the information I had back then, this process, the things I get to see happen with people around me is beautiful because they have access, right? I just wish I had access. No one like me has ever turned around to help me. No one that looks like me has ever turned around to help me in this way. That's why I do what I do. That's why I'm here. Because no one like me has done it for me. So I'm making sure I do it for others that look like me, feel like me, speak like me, resonate with me. Because I wish, but I don't longer wish, and create the solution for others to experience. Because as you see, that's been my process. When I see others don't have it, I stop for a second. I say, okay, let's make sure, right? Let's make sure. But this path now, there's no making sure. I need to do what I gotta do because I see I'm the only one thinking this way. And there should be 1 billion of these around the world. People that matter to you.
billionaire.
So then we look at it this way, right? So $50 is the entry point to the access to information and a bit more support. Like it's 100% community support. We'll walk through some of that stuff right now. We get you access to the information and my brain dump, right? Because as we're having this conversation, this is the last bigger video around this stuff as I transition to the other projects. And I walk and actually have conversations with people around what's happening. It's a commitment. It's not a dance. It's not a game for me. And I think that's always what makes it different. Is like this is not a game for me at all. So let me add this around this part. Like this is not a game for me. This is my life's mission, my life's purpose. I'm putting my heart and my life on the line for this. Especially for the next 6 years, very intentionally. Like this is a life commitment for me. This isn't a dance, this isn't a game. I bring a lot of joy and passion to what I do, but this is my life's work that's happening next. I don't care about what happened before you watch this video. I have zero concern about what happened before you watch this video because what I'm doing next is what I'm doing. As you see, my life, I've always turned around to help others. The deductive reasoning of that is people don't know how to help each other. That's why we have this issue, because we're working against each other, not working with each other. We're not working in a co-created community by default when we're living in the western side of the world. By default, we're taught how to go against each other. By default, we're taught to be individualistic, not collaborative and Ubuntu. So what I'm doing for the next 6 years is remembering ancient wisdoms, because on the principles you'll understand, our goal is reinstilling, reestablishing, reconnecting the ancient wisdom into the process, right?
Yes, sir. And we are all
the ancient conversation into the process, right? So when we look at this is the foundation. This is our genuine intention, right? It's how we co-create with the community and build and develop leaders. So at $50, the intention is you can get started, right? You get access, you get the information, you get people of like-minded environments to connect with. But at this level, the intention is that you develop as a leader, right? You're not just there to be there. You're there to become better. You're there to be on time, be on schedule, do what you need to do, learn the information, integrate the 10 steps to alignment. I'm gonna put probably a 60-day buffer to like see if you're in alignment with the outcomes. But the process is the leadership development, right? So that you are a better human based on people around you, based on your environment, based on what's happening around you, right? You become a better facilitator of information, ideas, strategies, approaches to the people around you, and you're a great support for them. Mm-hmm. Then you transition to the leadership development of the builder. Builder is someone who's saying yes at a different level, $150 a month, where you're actually asking to be coached and mentored, and you're actually making subtle nuances and adjustments in your business and in your process, in your family, right? When I say business, love is law, family's business. So I'm saying this holistically. You could be a mom, a daughter, you could be someone who just wants to be better for your family, your ecosystem. You don't need to go build an empire in that way. Building an empire is idiosyncratic to you. And I'll probably leave this part out too. Like the beginning part of this is uniqueness, right? The whole purpose of the 10 steps to alignment is you define success. I don't define success. You define what success means to you. And when we align our structures and our accountability mechanisms to match, right? Our metrics are based on what's articulated to me, not what you are articulating, right? Not what you are suggesting. Mm-hmm. And pardon me. What you are suggesting, not what is presented, right? Because again, I believe I didn't start this conversation with this, but in this conversation is the understanding that the information presented to us is not always the best information for what our intended outcomes are. When you define
so
it,
true. Honey,
intended outcome. The information then presents itself in alignment with your intended outcome. So the intention of this conversation in specific is to articulate to you the nuances and intricacies of what's actually supposed to be happening in this process. So as you become more conscious, more self-aware, more self-responsible, self-righteous, you then transition naturally into a leader. And it's the process that happens is once you articulate, once you express for yourself what your focus is, what your values are, what your mission is, all these beautiful insights, you become conscious of the world again, and nobody knows what's going on. And then it becomes your responsibility, your prerogative, to now educate and align yourself with your core 100. This is natural evolution, right? You start becoming a builder. If you're doing it effectively, there is some type of monetary value associated to what you're doing because you want a collaborative community, and that takes investment, right? So I think of it as someone comes visits, they like, right? Next step, you start building, you start gathering more people. You're not saying I have 20 people with me, I have 15 people with me. Right? You start having conversation, you have an environment, things are happening, right? You're able to look around and say, okay, great. We have something, we're moving, people are moving with me, right? This is a 30, 60, 90 day process. How I look at it is 30, 60, 90 days. Focus, maybe 3 months, 6 months, 9 months for you. It's 30, 60, 90 days of focus. 30 days you get yourself to alignment. You start doing your own nightingale, your gym row, right? It's a process, it's outlined. It will be outlined as this. This process is outlined. 30, 60, 90 days. 30 days you get that. The next 30 days you spend your time using social media effectively. Then align and gather your core 100. Share with them the information you become conscious of, articulate it to them in a way that allows them to receive it, and see if they want to join you on your mission, your vision, because again, it's not an army. It's not a show. It's a co-created space. It is community by design, by leadership development, not by Elijah's design, quote unquote, by influence, not by
architecture,
by design, but gift that makes it possible and allows me to do it. Uniqueness and allowing co-creating, and not actually taking any part of what they're doing and allowing me to figure it out. You know, because that's the nature of them, it being theirs, right? So the second step, again, is now the builder, which is the core 100, is now you developing your ecosystem, becoming understanding, learning how to manage, systematize, automate, get your schedule, get all these things set up for your core group of people, right? So now that you have that, you have your vibe, right? Now you have your tribe, you have your ecosystem, you have your vision. And then the final step is the real leadership, which is more the mastermind joint venture partnership, where you come in at the 1500, where now you're in a space of understanding, right? So if you think about this again, first 30 days, you don't know what's going on, you think about it, you go build it. Next 30 days, you start talking to people, you start asking them, hey, I want to invest, I want to do this, right? I want to build something.
No.
They start buying it, whether it's t-shirts, whether it's your family's ideas, they start supporting you, they start seeing the vision, they start seeing you matching your vision. And then you get into the final phase, which is now you building your vision, right? You should have developed, like it's a one-to-one correlation, 50, 150, 1500. You should have developed that much money in that time frame by articulating what you're doing if you're using it effectively. Think about it. I have no business, no idea, no concept. First 50 days, first 30 days. Then I become aware of all these things. Next 30 days, I tell as many people as I possibly can around what I'm doing. I put a price point, I put something to it, right? There's something that's actionable, and I get my partners, as many as I can. Because my goal is talking to as many people as possible around what I'm doing. Then, you get to the point where you should have access or a relationship or ability to articulate what you're doing to the people around you to request that $1,500 to say, okay, now I'm ready to build this at scale. Right now I'm ready to have other people supporting me, helping me, and really have something sustainable, right? I have other people investing with me, right? You're doing more like investing stuff, right? You're becoming an investor, you're becoming a partner, you're becoming a seasoned leader, right? For me, the holistic leadership that's missing or that's absent is the ability to have group economics, the ability for people to be spending money together, making money together, and working together, and understanding who's responsible for what, levels of commitment, roles, and all these things, SOPs, right? Locations, right? You want to be able to say you have $10,000 being invested over here with this partner, $50,000 over here with this partner, $50 over here with this partner, $20 over here with this partner, right? But it's all in pursuit of what a co-creative world of harmony means for you, not us. That means for you. So we get to this point, and we get to see, we get to develop, we get to articulate, we get to create what our outcome is, right? Co-created, what our support is, what our vision is, right? Or what your vision is a better way to say, because it's yours now, right? But your vision is for the world you are creating, for the life, the change you want to see in the world. That if everything aligns, that's the creation process. So you see how the elevation works. You should understand how the elevation works, pardon me. Or if you don't understand, that's the vision. And then we co-create a world of harmony through community. We build and support leaders. This is what I do. I build and support leaders that build dope things, so I don't have to do it. They have it. Like, I don't need a mansion if my friend has a mansion.
Period.
I don't need a mansion if all my friends have mansions.
Multiple periods.
My friends have Rolls Royces.
Facts.
I don't need a Bentley if my friends have Bentleys. I don't need a yacht if my friends have yachts. I don't need Oases if my friends have Oases. I don't need most things if I support the people and having the things that align with our mutually beneficial conversation and approaches to the world we're aiming to create. And this is where we co-create a world of harmony through community. We help each other heal. We become contributing factors to the world in ways that resonate with us, that are important to us, and we show up. We become the best version of ourselves. We do that for others, the people around us, such that they benefit from our contribution and their lives improve by default and by proximity. So this is Jensen. This is what's happening. This is us co-creating a world of harmony through community. And then there's the nuance, right? We take this down at another level, and we break this down into the constituent parts of, artists, creatives, so writers, I'll just say writers, specifically writers, graphic designers, people in that capacity. Then we break it down again to mothers, right? 1,500 creatives, 1,000 mothers, 500 charity partners, 7,000 entrepreneurs, and then 1,111 governmental style people. And this is where we get to our 10,000 person ecosystem, but that does not start with 10,000 people. It starts with 100 core leaders. And that's all this video is designed to talk about, is the 100 individuals that are in alignment, that are part of the mission, that want to invest in themselves, that want to step up, that want to lead from the front, that want to step into leadership, that really want to show up in their greatest capacity as their best self, and really lean into being the change they want to see wherever they are, right? Using the documents, the support, the introductions, all the things that we can provide, all the resources, all the opportunities that we can provide, all the ways we can show up. That again, the goal is that you become a partner, right? You become someone who has their own thing, right? You become someone who's leading their community because you have your family and your legacy. You have your perception of this vision. This is what it means to co-create a world of harmony through community with Elijah Jetson.
Co-creating
and R3alyfestyle. I know a lot of you people have been asking, trying to figure out how to be a leader on your mission. That's the only way. Like, that's literally the only way. Or you have to be walking through the process as such, because again, I walked you through my process. I did what I did by myself, with running my head against the wall, studying hours upon hours a day. Even like today, I still spend about, at minimum, 5 hours per average, almost 8, studying and researching, creating content like this, and really, developing these deeper levels of insight, these deeper levels of understanding, deeper levels of awareness to
when the sky is
bring
sunny,
to life. What's next
when
for
the
us
clouds
is
are rain,
create these around the world. Oases for us around the world. It's time that we have hubs and sites, reestablished locations for our community that are ours, that we build ground up, and we can go into unique places and show up and be of service, give contribution, give some kind, and be a part of the community as I got to experience, or as I get to experience in my life, as I get to show up in my life, as I get to be amazing in my life. And we live on our values. First principle, as above, so below. Continuous self-improvement, progress over perfection. Your action and your implementation is better than anything. Saying no to say yes. When you become clear on what you're doing, you need to do exactly what you know you need to be doing, and say no to all the distractions so you can say yes to your truth. Mutual respect. Do things and be in relationships where you're making mutually beneficial outcomes and you're willing to have the uncomfortable conversations until you get to a point of mutual benefit. Meritocracy, the best idea wins. Someone can walk in real today, someone can be brought to real today. Event, free event, open event, paid event. Yeah, man. I'm pretty sure hundreds on this side. That's right? Yeah. Alright. Pretty sure. It's 500 this way. I think that's the 800 block. Right? If not, we'll see. But this is 5. I love this too because this is real time. This is my life. This is real time. This is real time. Yeah.
It's really real.
I was right. 100 blocks that way, 800 blocks that way. I love this. But don't you want to be able to do this in whatever world that's you're in? Instead of me pitching you a Lamborghini or something, I'm pitching you what I got to grow up in and what I'm getting to create next. Mutually beneficial relationships, meritocracy. Like I said, anyone who comes into real just like that, their vision, their purpose matters. Then what happens after that is insisting on your highest standards. When you tell us who you want to be, that's who we're going to hold you to. Who you want to be, that's who we're going to hold you to. Hold and help you, right? Hold and help you. It's based on your standards, not mine. Again, it's based on your standards, not mine. So your 10 steps to align with those documents is what we're using to hold you to. Okay? You should hold yourself to. Then doing less better, less is more. Clear, concise, do one thing that's important every single day. Then we transition into practice. Preach what you practice. Don't practice what you preach. Preach what you practice. Articulate what you are doing to others so they can do it. Don't be talking about the things you're not doing. Talk what you're doing. That's better. Leading by example, right? And then walk by faith, not by sight. Listen to your intuition deeply, intrinsically, and at that subtle nuance, because your whispers matters. That's your relationship with the Most High. That's the most important part of all this, is detoxing, cleansing, and aligning the body. I'm going to do a couple more of these videos around health, around wealth, and then around, I think that's it. I might do one more, maybe relationships, but getting these videos out, getting the concepts out so they're there. Then serve at the highest level, right?
Be the
be
solution every
of
chance you
contribution,
get.
be of value to others, and give the solution, right? Listen, active listen very closely, very clearly to people, and provide value to them at that subtle level because you've listened deeply. Then, slow down to speed up. It's more important to breathe and be clear in your actions and rush them, because that cleared, aligned action is going to have more impact than a non-aligned action like this video. And then the final thing is live a conscious life, make conscious decisions, because you're living on purpose. Living on purpose is present alignment.
Hey baby, hey baby, hey baby, hi. Who is you over here? Love is law, family is business. Come on, let's go inside. Oh, hi. How are you?
Are you painting?
I'm drawing, yes ma'am.
You're drawing a mountain?
Oh no, I said yes ma'am, I already drew the mountain.
Oh, yeah, I saw you draw a mountain. What are you? You're just out here enjoying it. But it's cold.
It's cold and the blanket is still cold, so I was actually just going inside and then Kyle was like,
All of this was in our mailbox.
oh my
All this.
gosh.
I know, it was stuffed in.
I might have a dress from Fabletics there. I got a free promo thing. They said it'd be here. Might be in the package.
Oh, maybe it's this.
I think it is.
Hey, cool.